So that's what feels most authentic right now. So that's what I'm doing.
Perfect. Sounds like a good idea. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I was so excited when you messaged me. I'm like, oh, good. I'm so glad. So we're gonna start from the beginning.
Okay, doke.
So how were you introduced to hypnosis? Like, why did you choose to do it? Did you love the first experience, hate it?
Okay, so what was I doing? I think I was just scrolling through Facebook one day, and this and then had just, like we had mutual friends on Facebook, and he sent me a friend request one day, and I'm like, okay. And so we were friends on Facebook. I'd never met him, that typical thing, right?
Yeah.
And then he put a post out about hypnosis. And I can't even remember what it said. It was like, have you ever tried hypnosis? Blah, 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 blah. And I commented, I'd love to chat. And we got on the phone, and I signed up for a 3-day hypnosis course, 3-day hypnotherapy course. And the first time I went into hypnosis, I was like, I love this. I love it. I didn't want to come out of it. When I go in, I go really deep. And so deep that the people in the course behind me, because I do this, so Ryan had to give me the suggestion that I will stay safe in my chair, which I did. But I loved it. And I realized how powerful a tool it can be for so many different things. Like if you want to stop smoking, become a non-smoker. If you want to, lose weight, if you want to be more confident, do you want to be less angry, right? Like there's all these things that, because our unconscious mind is so powerful, but a lot of times we don't let it do its job, because we've got all this other stuff coming into our mind, right? Because our unconscious mind does 95% of the work. We don't even know it. But sometimes we have to let it come out and play. That's what I always tell people, we gotta let our unconscious mind come out and play. And when we let it out, it will actually listen to the things that that the hypnotherapist will say to you, and it will make it happen. So it's really powerful. It's not the only tool, for these things that, if you want to make differences in your life. It's not the only tool, but it is one of like a very holistic approach, right? So it's powerful.
And so I feel like I've read somewhere that like some people are more susceptible to hypnosis versus other people. Like, do you have any reason why that would be? Like, do you feel like some people just fight against like getting deep into the subconscious?
Yeah. I mean, anybody can go into trance, anybody, because we all do it every day. Like when we're driving to work, or we're driving to the mall, or we're going on a vacation, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, how did I get here?
Right.
Or watching a movie, watching, like TV ads are wonderful ways of getting information into your subconscious. You see a commercial for like a Coca-Cola. I don't want to make an advertisement for them, but you see an ad for them, and then all of a sudden, 3 days later, you're like, man, I'd love a Coke. Right. And that's because that's what happened. When people have trouble going into trance, it's because there's a couple of reasons. The big one is that you don't have that connection with the therapist, right? Because if you don't trust the therapist, the hypnotherapist, if you don't trust them, your unconscious mind is like, no, we're not going to do this. But the minute you get that, I can't even think of what the word is, but the minute you get that connection with them, your unconscious mind is like, okay, we can trust, this is safe, because your unconscious mind is always trying to protect you. Always. It's that thing that says, no, we don't do that because that doesn't feel safe.
Right.
So when you get that connection, you're able to relax and go into a trance. For some people, it just takes longer to get there because the thing is that connection. That's the big thing. So when somebody says, "Oh, you can't hypnotize me," I'm gonna call bullshit on that, because you can be, you can be. You need to experience it, right? And with a good hypnotherapist, right? I mean, like what I do is nuts. Like there's stage hypnotherapy, right? Like that's the ones that, in the bar that make you cluck like a chicken and do all that stuff.
Mm.
Um, and those people, it's really funny because those people are naturally those outgoing, gregarious, like they're going to be the life of the party. They're going to be the one dancing on the table with a lampshade on their head. And a stage hypnotherapist is watching and they know who that person is.
Mm.
So
So
they
they're
bring up
targeting. Yeah, they're
yeah, so they bring up a crowd of people and they know that person is going to, their unconscious mind is like, oh yeah, we can do this. This is fun. Let's do this.
Mm.
So that's the fun part. But I've worked with people that have been really hard because their unconscious mind doesn't allow them to get to that point. And whether it's trust, whether it's trauma, whether it's their mind is just so flippin' active that they can't slow it down. A huge part of hypnotherapy is the hypnotherapist's voice, the speed, the tone. Like I've listened to, like when I started all of this, I used to listen to them on YouTube before bed. And there was somewhere I'd listen to the voice, and I'm like, nope, nope, can't do that. And then there'd be some, and I was like, yeah, that voice is soothing.
Mm.
And then I'd be able to go into it. And I've been told because I have a deeper voice, it works better for most people. Rather than if I talk like this, right? Like if I talked in a high pitched voice, and not that people with high pitched voices aren't good hypnotherapists, but I think that the tone and the deeper, it's kind of more relaxing. That's my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. A couple years ago, or like, I think, yeah,
Yeah, time.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I had a session with you, and like,
Mm.
I could definitely attest to that. You have like a really nice full voice, but yeah, it can fade to the background enough where you're going into the subconscious, whereas a higher pitch would kind of like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because the thing is when you go into trance, you may not think you're hearing anything, but your unconscious mind is hearing all the things.
mm,
And that's why when you start a hypnotherapy session, you do a lot of like the pre-work. You get that, and you have to forgive me, I forget the words these days. You visualize, you get all the pictures, you get to that place. And then as soon as you're in that moment, whether you've gone down a flight of stairs, whether you've sailed down a river, whether you've flown into the air, whatever it is, you get to this place where your unconscious mind is now open and is ready to receive the suggestions.
mm.
And the suggestions always have to be in the positive because your unconscious mind does not accept negatives. So that's why we don't say you're going to quit smoking. You're going to become a non-smoker because your unconscious mind is like, I'm not a quitter, right? So I'm not going to stop smoking because I'm not a quitter. But when you tell your unconscious mind, your unconscious mind believes and is a non-smoker, you don't smoke.
That's so interesting. So you kind of fall into this almost trance, and then you're susceptible to everything, but how is this different from meditation? Because like I think of trance and I think of meditation.
Right. So the thing with meditation, and this is my experience, is meditation, the goal is to clear your mind,
Mhm.
to think of nothing, to just be in that moment with no thoughts. Hypnotherapy is quite different because you could be making a grocery list, because I'm not talking to your mind. I'm talking to your unconscious mind.
Right.
So,
Ooh.
you can be making a grocery list. You can be thinking about what you're going to do with the kids. You're like, oh my God, I got to do the laundry. But I'm not talking to that mind. I'm talking to your unconscious mind.
Mhm.
I mean, what happens a lot of times is you do clear. Your mind does clear. And you are like I know from in my own experience being in trance, is that my mind is clear. But it doesn't have to be. The
Mm.
goal is not to clear your mind, because a lot of time with meditation, it's like, you're staring at a light, or you're just listening to music, or it's silent meditation, right? Like
Right.
that goal is to clear your mind so that you can just be. But with hypnotherapy, you're actually listening. Like, I'm talking to you. I'm teaching you. I'm giving you instructions. I'm giving you suggestions. And so it's not about clearing your mind. It's about opening it up so that it can receive.
Mm. I love that. I love that. And so now I'm thinking of, so when I had my session with you, it was actually the past life regression. So how
That's
did
right.
you shift from, so you got your experience in hypnosis in hypnotherapy, and you were like, okay, this can be used for addictive tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
negative self-talk, all the things that need
Yep.
healing. But then you were like, oh, but some people are doing this other thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The past life regression, I just kind of I just tried it one day with a client, and I was like, oh, because she was like, I know that there is something in my life. I have this experience. I keep seeing these things. I have these experiences. And I was like, all right. So I did some research, and I said, well, let's try this past life regression and see what happens. Um, and I was able to get her to a place where she could see what her childhood was like in this previous life. Now, some people would say, but how do you know that was it? It doesn't matter. It's what your unconscious mind is seeing. It's imagining, right? And when it imagined this previous life of hers, she was able to then connect with her. And I do believe in past lives. I absolutely do. I know that I have multiple past lives. And she was able to connect with that and put all the pieces together and went, oh, that explains why I'm having these thoughts and why I keep seeing these numbers or whatever, right? And once we were able to put that together, she was able to process all of those and say, okay, now I understand. And then she could put it away. And she stopped worrying about it. She stopped, you know, obsessing about these thoughts almost, because she didn't know where they were coming from. And then when she knew, she was like, okay, I got it. I understand completely.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, like not everyone believes in past lives. And that's
Absolutely.
like, but what you're saying makes complete sense because it's your subconscious trying to like make sense of the insecurity, or why do I have this
Right.
perpetual pain in my shoulder, or I have
Right.
this, like, what is the subconscious mind going to show you about that? And like,
Right.
it's just the mind is so interesting.
Mind it is a twisted place at
Yes.
times, but it's a beautiful place, and it can be our own worst enemy, right? Because we can get stuck.
Yeah.
We get stuck in that negative place.
Yeah.
And I found that hypnotherapy and doing NLP techniques and all of those things really help people get unstuck.
Hmm.
It is not, and it is not a replacement for psychotherapy, right? Like if you have a mental health illness, you need to get the psychotherapy help, whether it's psychiatry, psychologist, social work, medication, whatever, right? Hypnotherapy is just an added piece. And I always tell people, like a very holistic approach to to health. You've got your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your massage therapist, your chiropractor, your dentist, your hypnotherapist, your Reiki master, right? Like all of these people, they all are part of your wellness.
Right. And I think that's something some people like sort of either fall on the side where it's no, just this stuff, like
Right.
just Reiki, just, the alternative forms of healing. And then other people that are like, oh, that's BS. I don't know what those people are doing. But it's really like, and this is what I try to tell people I talk to Reiki talk about Reiki with words right now, Fiona. Oh my God.
Exactly. I know. And it's early.
I'm not saying like hypnosis, breath work, Reiki is going to heal you of all your problems, just like meditation or yoga. These are tools. They're supportive to your overall well-being. Like, yes,
Right.
of course, therapy, of course, medication if you need it. Like, it becomes like very like we're against each other sort of thing.
Right.
Where it's like if we work together, like this is what creates like holistic
Wellness.
healing. Yeah,
Yeah.
wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like when I do talk to people about like hypnosis, that one's the one that people either are all about or can't quite understand. So this is why I definitely wanted to talk to you, because
Right.
it's so intriguing. Like it's been around for since like the 70s, 60s. I feel like it was like
It's actually been around since early, like Egyptian
oh
times.
oh
Oh
my
yeah. Oh yeah. But it was never called hypnosis.
okay.
I mean, when I did my training, and oh God, now you asked me to go back a few years. It was used for pain control.
Mm.
But then, like the powers that be got involved, and it became kind of like this airy fairy kind of stuff, right? Like, and so many people, when you talk about hypnosis, they automatically go to, oh, you're gonna make me cluck like a chicken, like, so, and that's not what it's not stage hypnosis,
Yeah,
right? It's
right.
not, because I can never make you do something that you would not normally do.
Mm.
If you're the person that dances on the table with a light shade on your head, I can get you to step out of the box that you may be stuck in. I can get, because you're the person that's going to take the chance.
Mhm.
That's going to do the thing, right? Um, Even if you don't recognize it, right? Like if you're the
Right.
life of the party, you're gonna be able to do what you want to do, but you just need the suggestions to allow you to do it.
It's almost like a permission.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's so intriguing, especially like I was reading this book, I think it's called Journey of Souls. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard that one.
I think that's the title. I hope I'm not making that up. But it was basically about, I think it was a therapist that was using hypnotherapy in his sessions, but
Mm-hmm.
using it with the purpose of like past life regression and
Right.
sort of if they could remember the in
Right.
between the first life and the second, like when they're in the ether space, like if they could
Right.
recall. And it's just very intriguing because it's like 20 people that over the course of years he
Mm-hmm.
was doing these sessions with them, and then he kept hearing repeated like sort of facts of the liminal ether space between
Right.
lives. And so he just found it interesting that either like humanity has this sort of collective idea of what that would look like, and we all can kind of imagine what it would be, or it's like, oh, these people are, or I'm actually able to bring these people back. It kind of keeps it open-ended. It's like either
Right.
one. But it was very intriguing. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
You send me the name of that book when you,
Yes.
yeah, send it to me because
Yeah.
I'm interested.
And I also just love when I hear about like therapists. Yes, Raven, relax, patience. Mike. When I hear about different practitioners using different modalities and
Right.
like using it like, you know, breath work with Reiki or therapy with
Right.
hypnotherapy. And I I just feel like it becomes this whole new thing. Like it
Right.
becomes more powerful, like supercharged when you're
Exactly.
combining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about it all day. You know, I have my level 1 Reiki, but I don't practice it. Like it's not something that I jumped on, right? Like I did it and I have it and I know how.
Do
But
you
it's
do it
not
on
something
yourself?
I do sometimes, but I prefer to do self-hypnosis.
Mm. And so how do you self-hypnotize?
Oh, so I actually took a course on that. It was a 1 day with the same fellow that taught me my hypnotherapy. There is a script that you can use, right? But I mean, it's almost like a self-talk, if that makes any sense, because like if I record a hypnosis, I can't list, it doesn't work on me listening to like a script that I would use with you, because I think my unconscious mind is like, yeah, I know what's happening here. I know what you're going to say next. I know, right? But
Right.
self-hypnosis is like oftentimes I'll lay in my bed if I can't sleep and I just repeat multiple times, I'm going to go to sleep in 5 minutes. I'm going to go to sleep in 5 minutes. I'm going to go to sleep in 5 minutes. And it doesn't take me 5 minutes to go to sleep. But it's the pattern, the repetitiveness, and the soothingness and the letting go, because I've let go of all the other stuff that's going on in my head, because I'm talking to my unconscious mind. I'm saying we're going to go to sleep in 5 minutes. And so it allows me to just stop listening to the other stuff, listen to the voice, listen to what I'm saying, and then we go to sleep. There's different ways to do it. And I'm not an expert in it by any means. So self-hypnosis, I mean, there's some really good books about it. It takes practice. I think for me, I found it harder to do self-hypnosis than to do hypnosis on someone else, which is why I prefer meditation for me. Right? Like I will listen to meditations at night because I'm not a great silent meditator. My mind gets distracted. It's very difficult for me to get to that open space because my mind is going so far, which I think is why when I have someone do hypnosis for me, why I'm able to go so deep. Because my mind, it doesn't matter that my mind is making grocery lists. My subconscious mind is listening.
It's interesting that you brought up just feeling like it's harder to self-hypnotize versus someone else, because I also feel that like with Reiki. I do Reiki myself. But the key component in Reiki is a surrender to whatever the outcome, whatever the healing this person needs. And you're just naturally more detached if it's someone else. Like if it's yourself, it's like, no, I need healing around this.
Right. Exactly.
You can't remove, like you're not getting to full surrender is a little harder.
It's more challenging.
Yeah. So it's definitely, it's easier to send it
right
to someone else. That's so
right.
interesting. Yeah. Fiona, are you still taking hypnosis clients though? Or
If someone wanted to, yes,
okay.
yes, but again, I'm not actively promoting myself. I'm not
Mhm.
marketing. If someone wants to, I've had people reach out to me. I did a non-smoking one, but oh gosh, must be 3 years ago. The pandemic has really
Yeah.
skewed my timeline. It may
Yeah.
have been 2 years ago. And he messaged me, a couple of months ago and said, "Hey, can you send me a script?" He said, "Because I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life and I'm finding I'm smoking again." And I'm like, "Sure, absolutely." And I sent it to him. I sent him the recording and it worked for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so send me contact info, even if it's just your email or if you have a link. I'm gonna,
Sure.
whenever I post this, I'm also gonna post that, of course.
Okay.
And I'll tag you. And Fiona, it was so nice talking to you. And
Well, I
I'm gonna
miss your
send you the
face.
book. I'm gonna send
Oh,
you the book.
yes. Yes.
And it's just so nice. You're in Canada, I'm in the US. Like
I
we
know.
just met during the pandemic.
I know exactly. I know. Maybe one day if I ever if I get a chance, because you're in New York, right? Like,
I'm right outside of New York, literally 20 minutes. I'm in New Jersey.
okay,
But yes, if you're ever going to the city, let me know.
absolutely. Absolutely, I will.
All right, you enjoy your weekend, enjoy your
Yes,
Saturday.
yes, I will. I actually have to work today, so I'm at the winery today.
Oh,
My
wow.
winery job is my fun job.
That's really fun.
Yeah,
That's really fun.
yeah.
Especially now with the fall coming, I'm sure it gets like, oh, that's awesome. All right.
All
Have a
right, doll.
good day,
You
Fiona.
too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.